Welcome. Today we are looking at Blame Bret by the Beaches. Great song, loads of fun to play. Even if you're a beginner, actually, it's quite an easy song, and I'm going to show you how to play this exactly as it sounds on the record. Okay, let's do all that in a close-up. Let me start by playing you the verse so that you can see what's going on. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Slow. All right. So there's really very little to say about this. Hopefully you know about power chords because that's all we're playing here. So we're playing 2-note power chords, index and ring finger, and we're going to be playing those 4 power chords that you saw. We'll go through them in a second. On the 5th, so that's the A string, and the 6th, the low E string. So the bass note, i.e. the index, is always going to be on the 6th string. And by the way, we always refer to the index when we're talking about the fret that a chord is on. So for example, the first chord is an A power chord, which will be on the 5th fret. That means that my index is on the 5th fret. And if you check the top of your guitar neck, you can see some dots for kind of easy navigation up and down the neck. You can use them very, very effectively for this particular song. So if you go to your 5th fret, that's your 2nd dot. That's the A that I just mentioned, right? And we're playing a power chord, so just the bottom 2 notes. That's chord number 1. Chord number 2 is going to be a B power chord, for which all you need to do is to go up 2 frets to the next dot. And chord number 3 is going to be C sharp power chord, for which again you only need to go up 2 frets to the next dot. So you can see how using the dots is a really effective way of helping you navigate your way around this region of the guitar neck. Cool, so the first part of the sequence only uses those 3 chords. Usually when you play power chords, you're playing all downstrokes. In this case, we're playing 8th notes, which means that in a bar of 4 beats, where you would count 1, 2, 3, 4, you're actually playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, then you move on to the next bar. Then on the C sharp power chord, you play 2 bars, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? The last element to add to all this is that we're palm muting. So remember that to palm mute, you want to use this part of your palm, and it wants to be right on the bridge, which is where the strings join your guitar. That's where you want to place that part of your hand, and you don't want to lift it as you play. So you're strumming at the same time as you're kind of effectively rubbing against that part of your strings in order to get that really cool muted sound. Remember and be aware that it's not a dead sound like that would be, for example, right? So you really want to make sure that you pull your hand all the way back down to reach that sweet spot where you can hear the muting But if you play a note, it still sustains. It doesn't die immediately. Okay, so work on getting that sweet spot. It's actually a lot harder than it seems. So even if you think you know palm muting, well, make sure that you can hear both of those notes in those power chords really nice and clearly. Cool. We said that was the first part of the sequence. The second part of the sequence just adds one more chord. So it goes one bar in A power chord, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and one bar in B power chord, one bar in C sharp power chord, and then all the way up to an E power chord for the fourth bar. The E, by the way, is going to be in the 12th fret. Again, you can use the dots this time, the double dots. The double dots are the octave on your guitar, right? That's why if you play on the 12th fret, you're playing E again, as if you were playing open. This is just where the guitar restarts effectively. All right, let's have a look at what those pre-choruses do on the rhythm guitar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe a bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. You could be forgiven for thinking that this is also power chords, but it's not. This time, it looks like power chords, but we're actually playing octaves. So an octave is when you play the same note twice. So it's essentially when you're playing twice the same note, a low version and a higher version. And for this part, they look very similar to playing power chords, okay? So remember that we're going to be referring to where the index is to find our place. So if you go to the 7th fret and you play with your index finger on the A string, that 7th fret on the A string, okay? That's an E, by the way. And then you're going to place your ring finger as if it was playing a power chord, but instead of placing it on the D string, you're going to lower it. You're going to drop it one string further to the G string. So now you have twice the same note, in this case an E. And here's the crucial part. So the string in between your index and your ring finger, i.e. in this case the 4th string, you don't want to hear it. Make absolutely certain that you're not barring with the index. You don't want this. You don't want to hear that string. It should be muted. And you can achieve the muting only by making sure that the index is firmly fretting your bass note, but it's not barring. It's laying across the other strings to essentially to mute them, right? But you're not hearing that 4th string. And by the way, if you're doing this right, the index is also taking care of the high E and the B, right? It's muting them. So that really, and also the tip of your finger will be muting the E string, the low E. So really, even if you strum all 6 strings, all that you can hear is the 2 notes where you have pressure on, i.e. the octave that we're after. Right? Now, this is easier said than done, so really the only thing I want you to focus on is the D string. You don't want to hear that D string, okay? If that D string is muted, you know, the rest are secondary for now. So we're going to have that E octave, and then we're going to move down 1 fret. That's going to be D sharp octave. Yes, no, you might have said E flat, but no, you can't call it E flat. We're in a key of sharps, so this is a D sharp. D sharp octave, then you're going to go back, and then at the end you're going to go all the way up to the 11th fret to that G sharp octave. Okay, so now the rhythm, right? We start off with some ghost notes or muted strums, so So we're going to go one and on that one and, although we're strumming, we're muting the guitar. So you have your E octave ready to go, right? But you're not going to be pressing down just yet. You're laying your fingers on top of the strings so as to mute them. Then you strum one and then you press down for 2. So 1 and 2. And then for the 3 and 4 is exactly the same, except that you're going to drop to the D sharp. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And then back, and you stay. Okay, so it's a 2-bar sequence. So in the first bar, you're going to go from E to D sharp. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then back for the rest of the bar. And again, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Then you do that 1/3 time. And then you go up to the G sharp. And as you can see on that G sharp, you play all the 8th notes again, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you do that for 2 bars. Okay, that's all we need to do for that. How's it going so far? Hey, if you need the tabs, which in this case is going to be more like the chord diagrams with the rhythms, you have a bit of tab as well for the octaves. Well, you can check the Patreon page in the description below. So the chorus. For the chorus, let's actually just play it so that you can see what's going on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so easy in that it's very similar to the verses, except that instead of just playing the power chord, palm muted, you now play the full chord, so now we're barring. And the first chord is going to be A major. Now, you don't really need to get all 6 strings as long as you get the 3rd string. That's the 3rd note in our chord, and that kind of determines whether the chord sounds as major or minor, so it's a very important note. You can clearly hear it on the studio version, although when they play it live, it tends to just stay as a power chord, but on the studio version you can definitely tell how those are bigger chords with 3rds, i.e. being majors or minors. So in this case, it's an A major chord. Chord number 2 will be a B major as well. Chord number 3, and here, be very, very careful, it's C sharp minor. So you just need to take off that middle finger, make sure that your barrier is good so that you can hear that 3rd string. And chord number 4 is an E major. Right, so A, B, and E are the exact same shape, and then just the C sharp minor every time. And on the chorus sequence, as you could tell probably from listening to that demo bit, you don't actually stay in the C sharp. You go straight from A, 2, 3, B, 2, 3, C sharp, 2, 3, and E. And that's the sequence played 4 times, okay? 4 times. And at the end of those 4 times, there's 2 extra times where you get the don't blame me, blame Bret, blame my ex, blame my ex, blame my ex bit, where the place where the chords change is slightly different. So you're going to go 1 bar of A, 1 bar of B, 1 bar of C sharp, and then instead of moving immediately to the E, you stay in the C sharp for 2 more beats, 1 and 2 and then you move to the E and you play 3 and 4. So in context, well, you don't need to do that kind of dramatic slide that I just did there. It was just for illustrative purposes. But let's say that, I'll just play it for you one more time slowly without so much talking so you can actually hear it. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 3 and 4. I'll play the same thing again. Okay, so that happens the 5th time. The 6th time, which is the last one, which is where you get the break, right, it goes like this. Okay, a good way to do this and to save you a lot of time, instead of just doing it by trial and error, is count it. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. You stop on 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then you're back on the second verse. In the on the record, the guitars don't play at the beginning of the second verse. It's just the bass and some synths. When they play it live, they tend to go back to the power chords immediately and play that second verse just like the first. So, you know, choice is yours. And last words on that, on the second chorus, it's exactly the same as the first, except that it's longer. So make sure that you keep an air out for where you go straight to the E, or where you need to keep that C sharp minor for that extra half bar, as I just showed you. Okay, but that's the only variation really that you may encounter. And even if you don't hear it and you play the straight 4 chords, that's going to sound absolutely fine. It really is just a detail. I think there was a thing at the very end, right? The way it ends. Okay, yeah. So the very, very last sequence, the stop goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so the C sharp, you stay on the C sharp and you stop on the second bar of C sharp on the 1. One more time. 1. So there we have it. I hope that was fun and I hope that was useful. If it was, don't forget to give the video a like and to subscribe to the channel so that you get notified when more videos come up. Also, let me know what else you'd like to hear. I read and reply to all the comments below. If you have any questions, you know where to go.